Hello everybody, it's PJ here doing another install on another car. Today it's a Seat Ibiza, it's a 2019 model, and we're going to be popping a dash cam into the car. Now it's going to be hardwired to the fuse box so that the dash cam goes on and off with the ignition system, and we're going to hide all the cabling for that as factory finish as possible. Now it's a really easy step-by-step guide, simple thing to do, basic tools needed such as this little lot is ideal. Electrical tape, a couple of cable ties, maybe some snips, long nose pliers to help pull the fuses out because sometimes they're a bit recessed and hard to get, multimeter or one of those little test probe screwdrivers that basically when you touch something it lights up if it's live. That's just for testing the fuses. Don't worry, it's not overcomplicated, that bit. And probably the most important thing of all, a plastic leverage tool. These are available off Amazon, eBay for about £1, and they basically stop you damaging your trim. You don't want to be prizing bits of trim off with a metal screwdriver. You will put little dints in it and make a right mess of it. So one of these, worthwhile investment. The other thing I recommend you have is a fitting kit. In the fitting kit you will get a replacement power cable. We're fitting an X-base camera. These come with a mini USB on the end. It's fairly generic across camera brands. Obviously check your own camera first. The other end terminates in an earth that we put behind a chassis bolt, and of course a power cable which goes to the fuse box. We also have a ferrite filter which basically is on a hinge. It clips open and wraps around the power cable. This helps stop interference on DAB radios. There's little clips on it just there, look, there you go. Basically ends up sitting on the cable like so. You wrap your cable around it, show you that in a minute. Now it doesn't cure interference on DAB radios, it can help. Normal FM AM radio is not a problem. DAB, yeah, cameras can cause interference and are a big problem with that. But we'll see how it goes. Fuse spur. What this is, basically it doubles one of the sockets in your fuse box to allow something else to be plugged in. So when you pull the fuse out your fuse box that we're going to find, you plug the fuse in here, that we take out the fuse box, and then plug this into the fuse box. So this fuse here is just a 2 or a 3 amp, will run your camera, and then the original circuit's run by the original fuse sitting next to it. This of course plugs onto here using a bullet connector, and it makes for a connection that doesn't need any soldering or any wiring of any kind. Nice DIY, simple to do. If you're not buying a fitting kit, you can get these fuse spurs, again off Amazon or eBay, normally a couple of £, and this is a mini blade fuse. There are different sizes. There's larger ones for commercial vehicles, some Mercedes and older cars. There's also smaller ones as well. This is a mini blade fuse. This is what's going to go into this Seat Ibiza. So before we get on with the actual guide, I just need to point out that by following this guide I'm held no way liable or responsible for any injury to yourself or damage to your vehicle. First things first, let's prepare the power cable for popping it up against the roof lining of the vehicle. We're going to tuck it underneath, and that's where the cable ties come in. Here's the power cable now prepared. There's your ferrite filter on. Like I say, it opens up on a hinge. You lay your cable across the centre of it, fold it underneath it, and then back out again. So it loops round. Next thing I've done, which is a matter of preference, I always do this, wrap a couple of cable ties around the cable, snip them off and cover them in electrical tape. What this is for is, with it being tucked above your headline, and if you hit a large pothole, the last thing you want is the cable to come dangling down in front of your view while you're driving along. Not ideal. This just beefs the cable up enough to give it something to just give it a bit of weight and stay up there behind the headlining. I cover them in tape because when you snip a cable tie, sometimes they're quite sharp on the edge. You don't want that rubbing the inside of the headlining. The headlining is only made of a fibre substance, you know, like a cardboard, so you don't want it to rub it to make a mess of it. We can now go ahead and tuck this up above the headlining. Now when you're tucking your cable up underneath, the headlining's quite tight. You're going to have to be very careful. Just pop your leverage tool underneath it. Ease it down slightly. Once you've done that, you can only get your fingers in. And just enough, just flex it enough to actually get the cable tucked in all the way along so it sits nice and it goes up under the lip and sits there. Do not go at this like a bull in a china shop. It's very fragile. You don't want nice big creases in it. It's going to look a right mess. So you only want to move it enough to get the cable under and get the cable ties under, because they'll give it a nice anchorage point. Do it all the way along until you get to the right hand corner there. When you get to the right hand corner up here, what you need to do is just check to see if your car's got curtain airbags that go across the top or airbags that go down the pillar. Either way, if you're going across here, you're going to need to tuck it under the airbag. The airbag's like a long folded fabric cylinder, okay? You put your fingers behind it because this plastic thing just sort of, your fingers there, look, pull it, yeah, that comes away. Stick your fingers under the airbag, just ease it forward enough just to slide the connector through for the power cable. You won't damage your airbag. I mean, don't be mad at it, just move it a few millimetres to be able to put the cable underneath it. Now once you've done that, we're going down here, down the side. This is a UK spec car and the fuse box is on the right hand side. Just here. So basically this panel pulls off. They're normally meant to just pop off, but they're always dead tight, and I end up using the plastic leverage tool. So we're going to be removing that panel, and we're also going to be removing this panel on the end with the plastic leverage tool. There's your fuse box cover removed. Basically pop from the bottom first, drop down. They've changed the design very slightly. This is brand new, straight off the production line car that I'm doing. End panel stays put on these. The whole assembly here pulls away instead, which is quite nice, good access. We can run our cable straight down the edge here, tucked under this plastic, and then back in and through to the fuse box area. Right, so when you've got your earth cable and your power cable down to the fuse box area, so you've looped it round and underneath, if we look through this hole here, you'll notice I've unplugged the large panel. There's two clips, one for the headlight there and one for headlamp aim. You just press the little tabs on them, look, down and pull, and the whole panel will come out the way then, giving you better access. Through this hole here, which we can't see because the sun's shining in an awkward place, basically there's an Allen key bolt, and like so. If you remove the Allen key bolt, it's a 10mm head if you're using a spanner or a ratchet. Just take it out. There's two bolts holding a plastic bracket behind it, so you won't move anywhere. Take one out and you can use this as your earthing point. So what I've done is cramped on a proper circle earthing hole there. We're going to thread that through the bolt, put the bolt through it, and then pop it back on. And there we go. I've balanced the torch on the inside of the dash so you can see. There's our earthing point, which is a good one to steel there, to chassis. We can now go ahead and do the power cable to the fuse box. Right, with the ignition system off, now this is a keyless car, so just basically make sure everything's off. What you're going to do is get your multimeter and test to make sure you find an accessory position fuse. In other words, nothing that runs the ABS or ECU or airbags or anything like that. And generally speaking on these cars, this second bank of fuses here are ignition switched. So we'll be going for this one here, 7.5 amp as you can see. 0 voltage. If we now turn the ignition system on and test again, just touch the top of the fuse there. 11.96. That is an ignition switched accessory position fuse, so we're going to turn the ignition off and pull that fuse out. With the fuse pulled out, we've shoved it in our fuse spur there, as you can see, and we can now plug this back in where the fuse came from, like so, and tidy up all accessory cabling. What we're going to do though now is just check that the actual camera does work with the ignition before we tidy up and finish off. Let's switch the ignition on now. And there we go, camera on. Jobs are good. There's your power indicator at the bottom. Switch the ignition off and power off. Perfect. Now tidied all our cables up with some electrical tape so we can tuck them down behind the trim panel here, safely out of the way. Don't forget to plug your connectors back in, and then as you can see it's on spring clips. So all we do is pop the dashboard back together again using the little clips. We're going to need both hands to do this, so you get the idea. Give it a tap when it's in place to locate the dowels. There we go, all the way around. And lastly, pop your fuse box cover back on again, and that's how you fit a dash cam in a Seat Ibiza. Any questions, pop them in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you again next time.